The massive Eltirian mining ship Prophet's Edge drifted through the dark space at the edge of the Sol system. Commander Vex stood on the bridge, his blue-scaled hands gripping the rail as he stared at the sensor readings. The numbers were incredible. More trilithium crystals than his people had found in the last 50 years, all floating in a neat belt around this forbidden star system. "Sir, I must protest this operation," Science Officer Kira said from her station. Her voice carried the careful tone of someone who had already argued this point many times. "The Galactic Council's prohibition on this system is absolute. No exceptions." Vex turned to face her. Kira was young for an Altirian, her scales still bright green instead of the faded blue of age. She had good instincts, but she did not understand business. "The prohibition covers the third planet and its immediate space. We are operating in the outer asteroid belt. Completely legal. Legal, yes, but wise?" Kira pulled up a holographic display showing the system's layout. "Commander, this is the sleeping death zone. Every spacefaring race in the galaxy knows the stories. The creatures that lived on that blue world were monsters. They killed everything they touched. Were monsters," Vex emphasized. Past tense. "The system has been silent for 300 years. Whatever was here is long dead." He gestured toward the trilithium readings. "And they left behind enough wealth to fund our operations for decades." The bridge crew worked quietly around them. Most were Altirians like Vex and Kira, but a few other species served aboard the mining vessel. All of them had heard the stories about this system. All of them looked nervous. Kira tried again. "The historical records speak of a species that destroyed 12 colony worlds before vanishing. They had weapons that could crack planets, ships that moved faster than anything we have even now. Why would such a powerful race simply disappear?" "Maybe they destroyed themselves," Vex suggested. "Violent species often do. Or maybe they just moved on to terrorize some other part of the galaxy. It does not matter. What matters is that they are gone, and we have a job to do." He activated the ship's communication system. "Attention crew. Begin mining operations immediately. I want those crystals loaded and ready for transport within 6 hours." The Prophet's Edge moved deeper into the asteroid belt. Its massive harvesting arms extended like the legs of some mechanical spider. Energy beams lanced out, breaking apart asteroids and sorting through the debris for valuable materials. The operation was loud and bright, sending energy signatures across millions of kilometers of space. Kira monitored her instruments with growing unease. "Commander, we are generating significant electromagnetic output. If there are any monitoring systems in this region, ... "There are no monitoring systems," Vex cut her off. "The system is dead. Stop worrying about ghosts." But Kira was right too. Worry, deep in the asteroid belt, hidden among the tumbling rocks, an ancient satellite detected the energy signatures from the mining operation. The device was old but well maintained. Its systems upgraded countless times over the centuries. It had been waiting patiently for exactly this kind of signal. The satellite's communication array activated. Data packets raced through space at light speed, aimed at the third planet in the system. The messages were simple but urgent. Unknown vessels detected, mining operations confirmed. Immediate response required. On Earth, in a facility buried deep beneath the mountains of Colorado. Dr. Elena Ross was reviewing routine atmospheric data when her computer screen suddenly filled with alerts. Red warning lights flashed throughout the Global Defense Network Command Center. Other technicians looked up from their stations in confusion. "What is it, Elena?" asked Director Martin from across the room. Elena stared at her screen in disbelief. "Sir, we are receiving a signal from Deep Space Monitor Station 7. Unknown vessels are conducting mining operations in our asteroid belt." The command center fell silent. For 300 years, Earth had maintained its careful isolation. The planet appeared dead to outside observers, its cities hidden underground or beneath massive camouflage systems. Humanity had learned painful lessons about first contact centuries ago. They had decided to watch and wait until they were ready, but now someone was stealing their asteroids. Director Martin walked over to Olana's station. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. Confirmed alien contact? Yes, sir. The mining signatures matched theoretical Alterian technology. Large vessel, probably corporate rather than military. How long have they been there? The first detection was 4 hours ago. They are working fast. Martin nodded slowly. Alert the Global Council. Activate Prometheus Protocol. It seems our quiet time is over. Elena's hands moved quickly across her keyboard. Around the world, hidden bases received her signals. In orbital shipyards disguised as space debris, crews began powering up vessels that officially did not exist. Humanity had spent 3 centuries preparing for this moment. They were ready. Back on the Prophet's Edge, Vex watched his crews work with satisfaction. The trilithium extraction was proceeding ahead of schedule. His corporate masters would be pleased with the profits from this operation. Perhaps they would even give him a bonus. Commander, Kira called from her station. I am detecting unusual gravitational distortions in the inner system. What kind of distortions? I am not sure. The readings are ... strange, like something large is moving very fast. Vex frowned. Asteroids? No, sir. The signatures are too regular, too purposeful. A new voice spoke from the communication station. Commander, we are receiving a transmission. From who? Unknown source. The signal is coming from the direction of the 3rd planet. Vex felt a cold chill run down his spine. Put it through. The bridge speakers crackled to life. The voice that emerged spoke perfect galactic standard, but with an accent none of them recognized. It was calm, almost friendly, but somehow terrifying. Unknown vessels, this is Captain Morrison of the Earth. Defense Force. You are currently conducting illegal mining operations in human space. You have 30 seconds to explain your presence before we board your ship. The bridge of the Prophet's Edge erupted in panic. Crew members shouted over each other. Warning alarms began to sound. Kira's instruments showed multiple contacts approaching. Fast, moving in perfect formation. Impossible, Vex whispered. The system is dead. Everyone knows the system is dead. Apparently, Kira said quietly, everyone was wrong. Through the bridge windows they could see lights approaching. Not the random sparkle of distant stars, but the steady glow of ship engines. The lights moved with purpose and precision, cutting through space like sharks through water. Vex realized with growing horror that the galaxy's greatest fear was about to come true. The humans were not extinct. They had been waiting. And now they were awake. The Forbidden Zone was forbidden for a very good reason. The human ships appeared like ghosts materializing from empty space. One moment the Prophet's Edge was alone in the asteroid belt, and the next moment 6 sleek vessels surrounded it in perfect formation. Their hulls were dark gray, almost black, and they moved without visible engine exhaust or energy signatures. Commander Vex stared at the tactical display in disbelief. How did they get so close without detection? I do not know, sir, Kira replied, her voice shaking. Our sensors should have picked them up from millions of kilometers away. It is like they appeared from nowhere. The human ships were unlike anything in the galactic databases. They had smooth, organic curves that seemed to bend light around them. No visible weapons, but something about their design suggested deadly purpose. They moved with a fluid grace that made even the most advanced Alterian vessels look clumsy. Sir, we are being scanned, reported the sensor operator. Multiple energy signatures. They are mapping our entire ship. Vex tried to maintain his composure. Open a communication channel. Send peaceful mathematical sequences. Standard first contact protocol. The response came immediately. The same calm voice they had heard before, but now with video. Captain Morrison appeared on their main screen. He was human, exactly as described in the old galactic records. 2 arms, 2 legs, bipedal stance. But there was something in his eyes that made Vex uncomfortable. Intelligence, patience, and something that might have been amusement. "Commander Vex of the Alterian Mining Consortium," Morrison said. "Yes, we know who you are. We have been monitoring your communication since you entered our system." "Your system?" Vex found his voice. "This system has been abandoned for 3 centuries. There are no claims on file with the Galactic Council," Morrison smiled. It was not a comforting expression. "We never filed any claims. We were busy with other things. But this is definitely our system. These are our asteroids, and you are stealing from us." "We meant no harm," Vex said quickly. "We were told this system was uninhabited." "Uninhabited?" Morrison looked genuinely puzzled. "Who told you that?" "Everyone knows," Kira spoke up from her station. "The human species went extinct centuries ago. The galactic records are clear." Morrison's smile widened. "Extinct? That is interesting. We have been having regular conversations with various galactic representatives for decades. Perhaps there was some miscommunication." The bridge crew of the Prophet's Edge exchanged confused glances. Morrison continued speaking as if he was discussing the weather. "Your mining operation has damaged 17 of our monitoring stations and disrupted 3 ongoing scientific experiments. We estimate the cost of repairs at approximately 50 million galactic credits." "50 million?" Vex sputtered. "That is impossible. We only extracted basic trilithium crystals." "Basic trilithium crystals that were part of a carefully balanced asteroid field we have been cultivating for 200 years, Morrison explained patiently. "Did you think all that trilithium formed naturally in such perfect concentrations?" The implications hit Vex like a physical blow. The trilithium deposits were artificial. The humans had been mining and refining materials in their own system for centuries. His crew had just destroyed decades of work. "Prepare to be boarded," Morrison continued. "We need to discuss compensation and ensure this does not happen again." "Boarded?" Vex looked around his bridge desperately. "We are a civilian vessel. You have no authority to board us." "Actually, we do. Article 12 of the Galactic Commerce Code clearly states that any vessel conducting unauthorized resource extraction can be detained and searched." "I assume you are familiar with galactic law?" Vex was familiar with galactic law. Morrison was absolutely correct. But how did a supposedly extinct species know current legal codes? The human ships moved closer. Vex could see docking ports extending from their hulls. The technology was advanced, far beyond anything in current galactic databases. These ships could probably destroy the Prophet's Edge without effort, but they were choosing diplomacy instead. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we are receiving another transmission. This one is from Earth directly." A new image appeared on screen. Dr. Elena Ross sat in what looked like a sophisticated command center. Behind her, dozens of technicians worked at stations displaying star charts and ship movements. "Commander Vex," Dr. Ross said politely. "I am Dr. Ross, Director of Human External Relations. Captain Morrison is correct about the legal situation, but we prefer to handle these matters diplomatically. We understand this was likely an honest mistake." Vex grasped at this potential lifeline. "Yes, Dr. Ross, a complete misunderstanding. We had no idea humans still lived in this system." "Still lived?" Dr. Ross looked puzzled. "Commander, we have never left. Earth has been our home for millions of years. Why would we abandon it?" "But the galactic records," Kira interrupted. The silence. "No human ships have been seen in galactic space for 3 centuries. Dr. Ross and Captain Morrison exchanged a look that Vex could not interpret. Morrison spoke first. We withdrew from galactic affairs after some unfortunate incidents. We decided to focus on internal development while we observed galactic civilization. From a distance, observed? Vex felt another chill. Dr. Ross nodded. We have been watching. Commander, learning. We know about the draconian expansion into the Outer Rim. We know about the peaceful collective's trade negotiations with the Alterian Consortium. We know about the mining rights dispute in the Kepler system. The implications were staggering. If the humans had been observing galactic civilization for 3 centuries, they knew everything. Every political development, every technological advancement, every military capability. How? Kira whispered. Trade routes are excellent for information gathering, Morrison explained. Merchant vessels dock at hundreds of stations. They hire crew from dozens of species. People talk. Information flows. We have been very good listeners. Docking tube connected to the Prophet's Edge with a soft thump. Morrison stood up from his command chair. I will be coming aboard now, Commander Vex. Please have your senior staff assembled in your main conference room. We have much to discuss. The screen went dark. Vex stared at the blank display, trying to process what had just happened. The humans were not extinct. They had been hiding, watching, learning, and now they were taking action. Commander, Kira said quietly, what do we tell the Galactic Council? Vex thought about the implications. If word spread that humans were not only alive, but actively monitoring galactic civilization, it would cause panic throughout known space. The legendary monsters were real, and they had been studying everyone for centuries. Nothing, he said finally. We tell them nothing until we understand what we are dealing with. The airlock chimed. Captain Morrison was coming aboard. Vex straightened his uniform and walked toward the conference room. He had the distinct feeling that this conversation would change everything. The galaxy was about to learn that its greatest fear had been watching them all along. Captain Morrison walked through the corridors of the Prophet's Edge with calm confidence. His 2 human companions moved silently beside him, their eyes taking in every detail of the Alterian ship design. The aliens they passed in the hallways stepped aside quickly, pressing themselves against the walls. In the conference room, Commander Vex waited with his senior officers. The table was oval-shaped, designed for multiple species to sit comfortably. Morrison took the seat directly across from Vex and placed a small device on the table. Translation matrix, Morrison explained. Though I notice you all speak Galactic Standard quite well. It is the language of trade, Vex replied carefully. Captain Morrison, I must ask, how many of your people are alive? Morrison smiled. How many stars are in the galaxy, Commander? Approximately 400 billion. There are about 12 billion humans currently living on Earth and our orbital stations. We have been quite productive during our isolation. The number hit the Alterian officers like a physical blow, 12 billion. Most galactic species numbered in the millions. Only the most successful civilizations reached 1 billion individuals. 12 billion, Kira repeated quietly. How do you feed so many? Efficiently, Morrison replied. We have had 3 centuries to perfect our agricultural and manufacturing systems. Earth is quite capable of supporting a large population when properly managed. Vex tried to regain control of the conversation. Captain, about the mining operation. We are prepared to pay fair compensation for any damage. Compensation is part of what we need to discuss, Morrison agreed. But first, we need to talk about the bigger picture. You see, your little mining operation has created a problem for us. What kind of problem? Morrison activated his translation device. A holographic display appeared above the table, showing the local star systems. Red dots began appearing throughout the map. 12 hours ago, word of our contact began spreading through galactic communication networks. We estimate that within 72 hours, every major government will know that humans are not extinct. The red dots multiplied across the star map. Vex watched with growing horror as the information spread like a virus through the galaxy. The Draconian Empire has already begun mobilizing 3 battle fleets, Morrison continued calmly. The Peaceful Collective is calling for emergency council sessions. The Alterian Consortium has placed all mining operations on high alert. How do you know all this? Kira asked. We told you. We have been listening for 300 years. We have communication intercepts, trade route monitoring, even some agents in various governments. Agents? Vex felt his stomach drop. Morrison nodded. Your own mining consortium has employed 17 humans over the past 50 years. Excellent. Workers, according to the personnel files, very reliable. The implications were staggering. If humans had been infiltrating galactic civilization for decades, they knew everything. Military capabilities, political structures, economic weaknesses. Why? Vex asked. Why hide for so long? Morrison's expression grew serious. Because the last time we revealed ourselves to the galaxy, it did not go well. 12 colony worlds were destroyed. Millions died on both sides. We decided to step back and let the galaxy mature before trying again. But you have been watching us. Of course. We needed to know if galactic civilization had grown beyond the violence that characterized our first contact. We needed to understand if you were ready for us to return. And your conclusion? Morrison smiled, but it was not entirely friendly. Still evaluating. The conference room door chimed. An Alterian communications officer entered nervously. Commander. Vex, we are receiving priority transmissions from Consortium headquarters. They want an immediate report on the situation. Vex looked at Morrison. What should I tell them? The truth. That you encountered a human patrol while conducting unauthorized mining operations in human space. That the situation is being resolved diplomatically. They will want to know about your capabilities, your ship designs, your numbers. Tell them what you have observed, nothing more. The communications officer looked confused. Sir, should I mention the 12 billion population figure? Morrison's companions exchanged glances. One of them whispered something in a language the translation matrix did not recognize. Morrison nodded. Actually, Commander Vex, I think it would be better if you did not mention specific numbers. Simply say that humanity appears to be thriving. Vex. Understood. Morrison was giving him a way to avoid causing immediate panic. Very well. Officer Kim, send a standard diplomatic contact report. Keep the details minimal. After the communications officer left, Morrison leaned forward. Commander, we need your help with something. What kind of help? We need you to carry a message to the Galactic Council. A formal announcement that humanity is resuming limited contact with galactic civilization. Kira spoke up. Limited contact? We have no intention of rejoining galactic society immediately. But we cannot ignore the galaxy forever. Your mining operation has forced our hand. Morrison activated his device again. This time, the holographic display showed detailed schematics of human technology. Ship designs, weapon systems, defensive capabilities. The Alterian officers stared in amazement. These are our current capabilities, Morrison explained. We are sharing this information to prevent misunderstandings. We do not want another war. The technology displayed was generations ahead of anything in galactic databases. Faster ships. More powerful weapons, energy systems that defied current scientific understanding. Impossible, Kira whispered. How did you advance so quickly? 300 years of focused development, Morrison replied. When you are not spending resources on territorial expansion and trade disputes, you can accomplish quite a lot. Vex studied the display carefully. Captain, with capabilities like these, you could conquer the entire galaxy. We could, Morrison agreed. But we do not want to. Conquest creates enemies. We prefer cooperation. Then what do you want? Morrison stood up and walked to the window overlooking the asteroid field. Human ships continued their patrol patterns, moving with impossible grace through the debris. We want to be left alone to continue our development. We want fair compensation for our damaged property. And we want assurance that unauthorized incursions into human space will not happen again. And in return, we will consider limited trade relationships. We will share some of our less sensitive technologies. And we will continue to monitor galactic affairs to ensure stability. Vex realized that Morrison was offering them a deal. Humanity would remain in the background, but they would be watching. The galaxy could continue as before, but with the knowledge that the legendary humans were real and very much alive. How do we know you will keep your word? Vex asked. Morrison turned back to face him. Commander, we have been keeping our word. For 300 years. We promised to withdraw from galactic affairs, and we did. We promised to observe without interfering, and we have. When humans make promises, we keep them. And if the galaxy rejects your terms? Morrison's smile returned. But this time it was genuinely friendly. Then we will continue as we have been, watching, waiting, learning. But I think you will find that most reasonable beings prefer cooperation to conflict. The meeting was ending. Morrison and his companions prepared to leave. As they reached the door, Morrison turned back one final time. Commander Vex, please make sure the Galactic Council understands one thing. Humanity is not seeking to dominate the galaxy. We simply want to be good neighbors. But we will defend our interests if necessary. After the humans left, Vex sat in the conference room staring at the empty space where the holographic display had been. The galaxy was about to change forever. The question was whether it would change peacefully or violently. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 47 species gathered for the emergency session. Chancellor Thorn of the Draconian Empire stood at the central podium, his scaled fist striking the speaking platform with each word. The threat is real, Thorn declared, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. The humans have returned, and they possess technology far beyond our understanding. We must act before they strike. Ambassador Nix of the Peaceful Collective rose from her seat. Her translucent blue skin shimmered with anxiety patterns. Chancellor Thorn, we have no evidence that humans intend violence. The mining incident was resolved diplomatically. Diplomatically? Thorn's laugh was harsh. They surrounded an Alterian vessel with ships that appeared from nowhere. They boarded it without permission. They demonstrated weapons technology that makes our best warships look like toys. In the observation gallery, Dr. Elena Ross watched the proceedings through a secure video link from Earth. She sat in the Global Defense Network Command Center, surrounded by screens showing fleet movements throughout the galaxy. The human return to galactic affairs was causing exactly the panic they had hoped to avoid. The fear is spreading faster than we anticipated, Director Martin observed, standing behind Elena's chair. Half the galaxy thinks we are planning invasion. The other half wants to surrender immediately. Elena nodded grimly. 3 centuries of legends and horror stories. We knew this would happen. On the main screen, Commander Vex was addressing the Council. His report was careful and measured, but the assembled representatives hung on every word. The human Captain Morrison was professional and reasonable, Vex explained. He sought compensation for damages and assurance that unauthorized mining would not continue, nothing more. Nothing more? Thorn interrupted. He revealed that humans have been infiltrating our governments for decades. He admitted to monitoring all galactic communications. He displayed military technology that could destroy any fleet in this chamber. Vex tried to maintain calm. He also expressed desire for peaceful coexistence. Words, Thorn spat. Empty words to keep us calm while they prepare their attack. From her seat in the peaceful collective section, Ambassador Nix accessed her private database. What she found made her blood run cold. Over the past 50 years, her own government had employed dozens of humans in various positions. Scientists, engineers, trade negotiators, all with perfect credentials, excellent performance records, and complete security clearances. She was not the only one making this discovery. Throughout the chamber, representatives checked their own databases and found similar patterns. Humans everywhere, working quietly in positions that gave them access to sensitive information. The Centauri. Delegate stood up suddenly. My government has just confirmed that our chief weapons researcher for the past 20 years was human, Dr. James Peterson. His work contributed to our newest shield technology and plasma cannon designs. A wave of shock rippled through the assembly. The Centauri were known for their advanced defensive systems. If humans had been involved in their weapons development, they knew everything about Centauri military capabilities. The Rigel Mining Union reports similar findings, another delegate called out. 3 humans in senior positions over the past 30 years. They had access to all our asteroid survey data and extraction techniques. The pattern was clear. Humans had not simply been observing galactic civilization. They had been participating in it, learning from the inside, gathering intelligence on every major power. The scope of their infiltration was breathtaking. Chancellor Thorne seized on the revelations. You see? This was not random observation. This was systematic espionage. They have been preparing for conquest. Dr. Ross watched the panic spread through the council chamber and made a decision. She activated her communication system and sent a message to Captain Morrison aboard his flagship in the Sol system. Captain, we need to accelerate our timeline. The council is moving toward military action. Morrison's response was immediate. Understood. Beginning Phase 2. Throughout the galaxy, human agents received coded signals. In government offices, military bases, and corporate headquarters, men and women who had worked quietly for years suddenly revealed their true identities. They did not attack or sabotage. They simply identified themselves and requested meetings with their supervisors. The effect was devastating. Within hours, every major government discovered that humans occupied key positions in their organizations. Not as spies or saboteurs, but as productive employees who had been doing their jobs well while reporting back to Earth. On the draconian homeworld, General Kor received a visit from his chief tactical advisor, a woman he had known for 15 years. She sat across from his desk and calmly explained that she was human, that she had been monitoring draconian military capabilities, and that her reports had helped Earth prepare defensive strategies. You have been spying on us for 15 years, Kor said, his hand moving toward his weapon. I have been working for you for 15 years, the woman corrected. My tactical analyses helped you win the border war. My strategic planning prevented the Outer Colony Rebellion. I have served the Draconian Empire faithfully while also serving humanity. Kor hesitated. Everything she said was true. Her work had been invaluable, but you were reporting to Earth. Yes, we needed to understand galactic military doctrine to ensure our own defense, but I never compromised Draconian security. I never revealed state secrets to enemies. I simply kept Earth informed of general military trends. Similar conversations were happening throughout the galaxy. Human agents revealed themselves not as enemies, but as colleagues who had been serving too. Masters without betraying either. They had gathered intelligence, but they had also contributed to the societies they studied. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the revelations continued. Delegate after delegate stood to report human involvement in their governments. But as the reports accumulated, a strange pattern emerged. In every case, the human agents had performed their duties excellently. They had helped prevent wars, improve technologies, and solve problems. Ambassador Nix was the first to voice what many were thinking. These humans were not saboteurs. They were stabilizers. Look at the data. Conflicts decreased in regions where humans were present. Trade disputes were resolved more quickly. Technological advancement accelerated. They were manipulating us, Thorne insisted. Were they? Nix pulled up a historical analysis. Or were they helping us? The Galaxy War that was predicted 20 years ago never happened. The economic collapse that threatened the Outer Rim was averted. The plague that should have devastated the Centauri colonies was contained. In each case, human expertise played a key role. The realization spread slowly through the chamber. For 3 centuries, while the galaxy believed humans were extinct, they had actually been working quietly to keep galactic civilization stable. They had not been preparing for conquest. They had been preventing disasters. Commander Vex stood up again. Captain Morrison told me something during our meeting. He said humanity was evaluating whether galactic civilization was ready for their return. Perhaps they were not just gathering intelligence. Perhaps they were helping us mature. Chancellor. Thorne's war rhetoric suddenly seemed hollow. If humans had wanted to conquer the galaxy, they could have done it decades ago. Instead, they had chosen to help from the shadows, guiding galactic development while remaining hidden. Dr. Ross watched. The mood in the council chamber shifted from panic to confusion to something that might have been gratitude. The galaxy was beginning to understand that humanity's long silence had not been abandonment. It had been patient stewardship. The question now was whether the galaxy would accept humanity's return as partners rather than conquerors. The awakening had revealed more than just human survival. It had revealed 3 centuries of quiet service to galactic civilization. The price of awakening the humans was the knowledge that they had never really been asleep. Dr. Elena Ross stood before the full galactic assembly, her hands steady as she addressed the largest gathering of alien species in recorded history. Representatives from every corner of the galaxy filled the massive chamber, their attention focused entirely on the human woman at the central podium. Honored delegates, Elena began, her voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. 300 years ago, humanity withdrew from galactic affairs after a series of tragic conflicts. Today we return not as conquerors, but as partners. The chamber was silent. Even Chancellor Thorne, who had spent weeks calling for military action against humanity, sat quietly in his seat. The revelations about human involvement in galactic stability had changed everything. Elena activated a holographic display, showing the Sol system. Our terms for rejoining galactic civilization are simple. First, recognition of human sovereignty over our home system. No unauthorized activities in human space without prior agreement. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. After the mining incident, few delegates wanted to risk another confrontation with human forces. Second, the establishment of formal diplomatic relations between Earth and all galactic governments. We propose the creation of a new council structure that includes human representation. Ambassador Nix stood up from the peaceful collective. Section. Dr. Ross, what level of representation are you seeking? Elena smiled. Proportional to our contributions to galactic stability and security. We believe our 3 centuries of service have earned us a significant voice in galactic affairs. The statement was diplomatic but firm. Everyone in the chamber understood that humanity had the power to demand whatever they wanted. The fact that they were asking for reasonable terms was itself a gesture of goodwill. Chancellor Thorne finally stood up. His earlier aggression had been replaced by something resembling respect. Dr. Ross, the Draconian Empire acknowledges that human agents within our government have served with honor. But how do we know you will not use your embedded positions for hostile purposes? Because we have had 3 centuries to do so, and we chose not to, Elena replied simply. Our people who work within your governments will continue their duties openly, They will serve as cultural liaisons and information bridges between our species. Captain Morrison appeared on screens throughout the chamber, broadcasting from the bridge of his flagship in orbit around Earth. Behind him, the blue-green planet rotated slowly, no longer the forbidden world of galactic nightmares. The Draconian Empire raises a valid concern, Morrison said. Trust must be earned. Therefore, we propose a gradual integration process. Limited trade relationships first, then expanded cooperation as mutual confidence grows. Commander Vex, who had become something of a celebrity since his first contact with humanity, stood up from the Alterian section. Captain Morrison, your people prevented the economic collapse of the Outer Rim territories 15 years ago. You helped end the border wars. You contained the Centauri plague. Why did you hide these contributions? Morrison considered the question carefully. Because the galaxy needed to solve its own problems. We provided guidance and assistance, but the solutions came from galactic civilization itself. We wanted you to grow strong and independent, not dependent on human intervention. The admission sent another wave of surprise through the assembly. Humanity had not just been observing or even stabilizing galactic affairs. They had been teaching, guiding galactic civilization toward maturity without taking credit for their efforts. Elena continued her address. We proposed the creation of joint research projects to share certain human technologies with galactic civilization. Medical advances, agricultural techniques, and peaceful applications of our energy systems. What about military technology? Demanded the Rigel delegate. Defensive systems only, and only after the establishment of mutual defense agreements. Elena replied, We have no interest in accelerating galactic arms races. Ambassador Nix accessed her datapad and stood up again. Dr. Ross, our preliminary analysis suggests that human technology could increase galactic agricultural output by 30% and reduce energy costs by half. Are you prepared to share advances of that magnitude? We are prepared to share. What is appropriate for galactic civilization's current development level? Elena answered diplomatically. Too much too fast could be destabilizing. The careful phrasing was not lost on the assembly. Humanity possessed technology far beyond what they were offering to share. They were choosing to reveal only what the galaxy could safely absorb. Chancellor Thorne made one final attempt at opposition. And if we refuse your terms? If the galaxy chooses to reject human participation? Morrison answered from his ship. Then we return to our previous status. We continue observing, occasionally providing assistance during major crises, and waiting for the galaxy to mature further. Nothing changes except that you now know we exist. But you will continue monitoring our affairs? Chancellor, we have been monitoring galactic affairs for 3 centuries. That will not change regardless of your decision. The question is whether you want that monitoring to be open and cooperative or continue in secret. The logic was unassailable. Humanity had the capability to watch galactic civilization whether the galaxy liked it or not. They were offering to make that relationship transparent and beneficial for everyone. Elena concluded her address. We understand. That trust takes time to build. We do not expect immediate acceptance. But we hope the galaxy will give us the opportunity to prove that humanity's return benefits everyone. The assembly broke into regional groups to discuss the proposal. Elena watched from the podium as alien delegates huddled together, their translation. Devices buzzing with urgent conversations. Commander Vex approached the podium during the recess. Dr. Ross, there's something I must ask. The mining operation that started all this, was it really accidental? Elena studied his face carefully. What do you think, Commander? I think humanity has been preparing for this moment for decades. I think you were ready for first contact long before our ships entered your system. I think perhaps our mining operation was not as secret as we believed. Elena smiled but said nothing. Vex nodded slowly. You knew we were coming. You could have prevented the entire incident, but you let it happen because you were ready to reveal yourselves. The galaxy needed a gentle introduction to our return, Elena said carefully. A mining dispute is much less threatening than a sudden appearance of human fleets throughout galactic space. The truth was exactly what Vex suspected. Humanity had been tracking the Alterian mining mission from the moment it left port. They had allowed it to proceed, knowing it would provide the perfect opportunity for controlled first contact. When the assembly reconvened, the vote was unanimous. The galaxy accepted humanity's terms for reintegration. Not because they had no choice, but because 3 centuries of hidden service had earned humanity the right to return. Ambassador Nix delivered the formal acceptance. On behalf of the Galactic Assembly, we welcome humanity back to galactic civilization. We look forward to a new era of cooperation and mutual growth. Elena smiled as she accepted the formal documents. Outside the space station, human ships began emerging from the Sol system for the first time in 3 centuries. They moved in perfect formation toward their new roles as protectors and partners in galactic civilization. The galaxy's only rule had changed from "Don't wake the humans" to "Welcome home." The long sleep was over, and the universe would never be the same.